So hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. If you don't know me, my name is Allison Hardy. I live in Chesapeake, Virginia, and I am a self-care coach for mompreneurs. And I used to really despise that name, but now I really kind of embrace it because I think mompreneurs are unique creatures, and I think we should all embrace our inner entrepreneur. So I help mompreneurs develop thriving self-care habits to help them live more simple, purposeful, and passionate lives. And my main focus is helping them to do that so that they can raise their babies and their businesses simultaneously. Because I think a mom that takes care of herself, I think that a mom who takes care of herself can then take care of her family and her business more fully. So that is my philosophy and my idea behind my business. So Jacqueline, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
So I'm Jacqueline Ernst. I run a content and digital marketing firm and a community for mompreneurs and small business owners to help them promote themselves through social media, giving them tips and tricks. And I have been a mompreneur for the last 5 years, making it work with crazy schedules of no daycare, some daycare, working evenings and weekends, nap times, and all of that. And I love helping women figure out when in their day they can get things done so they can feel super productive and so that they have time to take care of themselves and do self-care, because if you're a mompreneur and you're not doing self-care, you are going to fail at something, or at least feel like you're failing in every area of life. So that is me. And we recently moved to Northwest Arkansas, so it's been a big change, but so worth it. And self-care is probably the only reason I still have my sanity.
You are too funny. You are too funny. Cool. Okay, so I will go ahead and start with my spiel about self-care and why it is so important. And just so you all know, if you guys have questions while we are chatting, I've muted people just so there's no kind of crazy background noises. But at the bottom of your screen, you will see a chat feature. So use that, and when I'm chatting with you guys, Jacqueline's going to kind of monitor it and ask questions if you guys have some up if I don't see them, and then I'll do vice versa for her. So if you guys have questions, type them out in there, and that'll be really helpful for us. So self-care. All right, so I get asked this all the time. What is self-care? And so first I want to talk about what it isn't. So self-care is doing something. So self-care, something that is not self-care, is sitting on your couch with your kid and watching your kid's favorite TV show. Not self-care. Another thing that's not self-care is going on a date with your husband. And I'm naming these things because a lot of times women confuse these things with self-care. And these are great things to do when you are considering a self-care habit or when you know that you need to practice self-care. No, they're not great things to do. They're not great things to do when you are trying to start a self-care habit. These are things that serve other people. And sure, they're great things to do. Going on a date with your husband is awesome, and that serves your all's relationship. And hanging out with your kid and watching TV, totally fine, great thing to do. But that serves you guys as a unit, you and your son or your kid. But it doesn't serve you. So self-care is a habit or a ritual that you do every day that's only for you. So an example of what a good quality self-care habit is working out. Working out is a great, great self-care habit. Another example is I am obsessed with smoothies. I make a smoothie every single day, and I put all kinds of delicious fruits and veggies and almond milk and all that in there, and it really is my thing. I blend it up. I really take time to savor it and drink it, and I love it. So that's a really good example of a self-care habit that I do, and that serves me. So the thing with self-care is that it needs to serve you. That's the most important part of it. And then I kind of divide self-care into two areas. I talk about self-care habits, and I talk about self-care rituals. So the smoothie example I just gave you guys, that's a ritual. So that takes hardly any time throughout the day. but it still only serves me. It serves me as a person. And the reason why that I call that a ritual is because it's a little thing that I do every day. So throughout the day, I would encourage you guys to incorporate self-care rituals. And this can be something like my smoothie habit I mentioned. It can be like getting a really nice shower gel. I know that sounds silly, but it's only for you. Your husband doesn't use it. Your kids don't use it. It's a smell that you love and that you are fond of. So that is a really good example of a self-care habit, self-care ritual. Those rituals are those little things that you do throughout the day. An example of a self-care habit is the example of fitness I gave you. So self-care habits are things that you have to kind of make time for. So you have to divide up your day, figure out spots in your day that work for you, and you do that habit every single day. It's something that's kind of a non-negotiable. So fitness is a good example of that because it takes time, usually about 30 minutes to an hour, right, to get a workout in. So that's a self-care habit because those are things you have to schedule, and they're kind of a little bit more of a commitment. So if you guys are having a hard time figuring out self-care, I would encourage you to start with a ritual first. So like the smoothie example I gave you or the body wash example I gave you, those things seem really little, but they only serve you. And that's the whole idea behind self-care is figuring out something that serves you. So if you guys need to start out the self-care habit, a ritual is a good way to start. And then I always encourage my clients to then move on and figure out the whole habit thing. So figuring out a habit also that you can work into your day, move some things around. And Jacqueline and I are going to talk about that. To really get your self-care going and thriving. And that's what I love to see clients doing. So self-care, I gave you a couple of examples of it, but I think a lot of times women get really caught up in the actual habits or the actual rituals that they're doing. And they think there's rules. And there's no rules. There's no rules on what you can and cannot do for self-care. What works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for the next person. So and I think it also gets confused with like going to the spa and things like that. And that's a great, great, great self-care habit if you are able to do that. But a lot of times doing something like the spa, number one, costs usually a significant amount of money. And number two, takes up a large chunk of time. And I know for a lot of us, we really don't have like the time thing. For me, I can't like put aside 2 hours every week to go get a manicure or pedicure or whatever. So I'm a big fan of finding things that you can do that are free or they don't take up a ton of time. So when you're considering your self-care habit, be realistic, be reasonable with what you are thinking about doing. Is it actually going to work? Like think about the time commitment or the money commitment or like the resource commitment, all that stuff. Those are things to think about certainly when you are starting a self-care ritual or habit. So one of the reasons why I'm so incredibly passionate about self-care is because of my own lack of self-care after my son was born. So after my son was born, I suffered from some pretty intense postpartum depression. I didn't even like recognize it until he was about 4 months old. So, but I do quite honestly distinctly remember waking up one day and it kind of just like hit me like a ton of bricks. I was angry and like annoyed with every single person in my life. And it really was like a wake up call when I realized that this was going on. So one night when I went to the doctor, I got meds and all that, was taking the meds. And about 4 months after that, so 8 months from his birth to about 8 months, I still wasn't I wasn't better. Still wasn't me. I was like even, but I wasn't really happy. I realized I wasn't there was that missing thing. I wasn't feeling any joy. So my husband kind of sat me down one night. He's like, listen, here's the deal. You're not you. And we need to figure out a way for you to become you again, because I miss you. And when he said that to me, it was kind of like an aha moment. So self-care was something that him and I talked about a lot. And I started with going to the gym. I had always been really active. I ran track all through college and elementary school and all that. So being active was really, really important to me. So fitness was kind of where I started. And it kind of went from there. But I can remember going to the gym, and after about 2 months of going to the gym, I felt better. Like I felt like myself again. And it was a really phenomenal experience, and it really like hit home that I'm not the only one who suffers from this. Like I can't be the only one out there that has these feelings. So that's why I'm so incredibly passionate about self-care. And for mompreneurs, and for mompreneurs especially, I think we're in a unique situation. We're raising our families, we're raising our business, we're doing all kinds of crazy, brave things, and it can get in the way. Your life can get in the way of you practicing self-care. So I'm a firm believer that once you start investing in yourself, you will see that spill over into many other areas of your life. So once you start focusing on you, and once you get yourself right, your business, your personal life, everything will kind of just fall into place after that. And a lot of women think oppositely of that. A lot of women think, oh, I'll schedule self-care if I have time today. Or, oh, once my business gets to this point, I'll start doing self-care, when it should actually be the reverse. You need to take care of yourself in order for you to be able to take care of anyone else, especially your clients, and especially your family. So that's why I'm so incredibly passionate about self-care, and why I think that is super, super important. Another concern I hear from clients, and that I dealt with when I was first figuring out this whole self-care thing, was guilt. And I know a lot of women deal with guilt, and it's totally normal. Everyone suffers from it, but there are some ways to kind of rethink about spending time away from your family. And that's usually where the guilt comes in, is spending time away from your family. Like you're taking time away from your family in order to do this thing for you. And that seems selfish for a lot of people. And I totally get it, but I want you guys to think about it in a different way. So for me, and for many of the women I talk to, when you spend time away, that whole expression, absence makes the heart grow fonder, comes into play here. So when you spend time away, it really allows you to be more fully present when you are home, or when you're with your family. Because you are the best you can be in that time away while you're doing your self-care habit or whatever you're doing, it really recharges you, and it refocuses you, and it connects you to you, and it connects you to your purpose and your mission in life. And then when you come back and hang out with your family, you're a lot more present during that time. And you can really fully give to them. So the guilt thing is hard. It's certainly hard. But I always encourage my clients and myself to really recognize and acknowledge why you're doing that. If you're just spending time to get away without intention, if you're spending time away not working on yourself, or not working on something that you want to do, then when you come back, you're not going to feel refreshed. You're not going to feel rejuvenated. You're not going to feel recharged. But if you spend some time away from your family, even for like a half an hour every day, and you get that chance to really reconnect with yourself, when you come back, you're going to be a better mom for it. You're going to be a better business owner for it. So self-care, it's so multifaceted and has so many different aspects of it. But I think at the root of it, self-care helps you become you. And when you are fully you, you live a fuller life. You can really give to those causes and those purposes and those people that you love, that mean a lot to you. So any questions, guys? Remember, there's that chat feature down here. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to type them out. And Jacqueline, are you still with us? Cool. So I know Jacqueline. Ooh, there you are. Hello.
I'm here. They've just been doing huge announcements over everything.
Oh, the life of a working mom.
Yes. I haven't seen any questions come through, but Allison, I think that you make some amazing points, and especially about guilt. I think every mom has mom guilt. Oh, Stephanie, that's awesome.
Thanks, Stephanie.
So I think every mom has mom guilt, and I know I have definitely dealt with it, and it's something that I have actually made a conscious effort to give up. I gave up mom guilt this year. I gave up the possibility of having mom guilt, because I was just like, no, I'm not going to feel guilty about things that I'm doing that are overall for the best. and because I know I'm putting things in place to make sure that I'm spending time with my family and that I'm present with my family. And I think when I made that decision and when I decided I'm going to be present with my family when I'm there, and when I'm working, then that made the guilt non-existent, because I wasn't giving myself a place to feel guilty. I wasn't trying to run back and forth between tasks. So
awesome point. Yeah, really great.
Rachel, that is serious. That is a tough place to be, but I think that there are ways that you can find a little bit of time to yourself. And I know personally, sometimes that time to myself is just 5 minutes. And it might be 5 minutes when I know my kids are going to be entertained. And even though I'm still, quote unquote, taking care of them, I know that I can get 5 minutes away to do something. So
yeah. And Rachel, that's when those rituals come into play. Yeah, I know you have really limited time, and I know that you have a lot going on, but that's where those rituals come into play. If you can't take a half an hour out, find little things you can do throughout the day that are only for you. And it could be something as stupid as making a cup of tea. And I know that seems silly, but that ritual, that habit, the act of doing that, and it's only for you. It's not like your kids are going to drink a cup of hot tea. That's for you. So I know that might not apply to you, the tea example, but that's a little simple thing you can do. And so I would encourage you to start with 2 things and then move it up to 3 things and 4 things and get that ritual side of self-care really going. And then you can start talking about habits. So that's my 2 cents.
For sure. And along that lines, one of the little rituals that I've done is I have my coffee. We got a coffee maker and it has the ability to do K-cups. Well, I have my coffee. When it's weekends and we're doing a pot of coffee, because we drink a pot of coffee on weekends, I make a pot of coffee and it's just regular coffee. But then in the morning, especially the days that I'm home with the kids all day, I make my coffee and I spend that extra little bit of money, and it's maybe 10 cents a cup more than I normally would, but I make the good coffee, the coffee I really like, and that's just my little thing. And then I enjoy drinking it. And even if the kids are running around like crazy, like this Monday morning during my video, I still am like, do you know what? I got my good cup of coffee, even when my kids are throwing teenager fits. And it is the little things. And Rachel, I know some of your comments were about, finding that time and the craziness and becoming a morning person. And it does not happen overnight. I'm still not a morning person. I just force myself into it. But I want to talk about how changing our process and changing our perspective on how we run our days can change how we view self-care and change our ability to have self-care. So I have to admit, my kids are scheduled kids. They have been since the moment they came home from the hospital, but they spent so long in the hospital, they were on a schedule. We were in a routine. So for us, it was just very fluid to become, to just go straight into that routine. So I knew when my kids were going to eat, when my kids were going to be up, and I could keep that routine going and keep that structure going. And even though we're older and we may not have a set in stone structure, we still have structure throughout our days in terms of when we have lunch, when we have snacks, and those types of things. And having that structure base has helped me be able to do those tasks that, if you put them all together, are going to take you 2 or 3 hours to do on a weekend. But if you break them up through the week, you're spending 5 or 10 minutes at a time doing it, and you get extra time, it seems, where you get to spend it with your family because you've done all of these little tasks. So the 2 sheets that came along that we sent out, that Allison sent out, are, the first one is a marketing hit list that I give to a lot of my mompreneurs on marketing your business and ideas you can do for marketing your business. And the other one is a household hit list of tasks you can do in 5 to 10 minutes without a lot of effort or energy that can get stuff done, so you have time to focus. And when we think about, cleaning our house, we think about the entire house at one time, but we don't have to, or even an entire room at one time. But when you break it up and you think, okay, sweeping the floor at the end of every day is cleaning the house, and then I don't have a giant task at the end of the week. Or, doing a portion of your bathroom in one day and another portion the next day. Your house is still clean. Your house is still tidy and organized. It just might not be instantly clean all at the same time. But then you don't have it 3 weeks later and you realize you haven't cleaned something because you haven't wanted to spend that time. Or it's summer and we're all busy on weekends with our family spending time. So you get your house clean without it feeling like you're spending 3 hours straight cleaning your house, which, I hate doing on weekends. I don't want to clean my house on the weekend. I want to go to the farmer's market or go and spend time with the kids, or even just watch cartoons with them and do nothing, because it's the only day we get to sleep in. Well, the only day that we get to stay in our pajamas. They don't let us sleep in. So when we change our day and we change our habits and we find those pockets of time in our day to do things, it frees up time for us to be more present. And as I said before, I gave up mom guilt by changing things up and being able to be more present. So when I have time with the kids, my phone is away. Other than maybe taking pictures, I leave my phone inside when we go out in the backyard to play, unless I'm expecting something. Unless the kids want me to take pictures, I don't have my phone. My phone is on silent. It's not with me, because I'm being more present, because I know I'm not going to get a work email, or if I am, my clients are, they know that I'm not going to be able to answer it right away. Or, I'm not waiting for something to come in. I'm not thinking in the back of my mind, I have to deal with this now. Because I set everything up throughout the day, everything is done. Now I can be 100% present with my kids. The same when I'm at work. When I'm at work, this sounds really silly, I don't do housework during work days. I save that for other times, because I pay for childcare and I need to make sure I'm making money to pay for childcare. I work, but I work so hard that when it's evenings and weekends, I don't have to. So I can be present. We have no phone dinners. My husband and I put our phones on the table in the front hall. We leave them there. We don't pick them up, and we don't check email or anything until after the kids are in bed. And we set those boundaries so that we can be more present. And I think the biggest thing that comes from that is when we're more present with our family, when we're more present with our spouse during those times, we can take that half hour for self-care without feeling guilty, because we've been present the rest of the time. Does that resonate with you guys? Yes, nodding head. Okay. So for me, because I've given that up, because I've made that choice to be more present, it's easier for me to get away to do self-care and do those little things. And I just changed how my days look. And as I shared on Monday, I baked a loaf of bread. I made 3 batches of the dry mix for pancakes. I cleaned the house. Now, I had an extended period of time, because after the kids were done breakfast and their fits and stickers and all of that, they just wanted to play for a bit, but I was able to get a lot done, knowing that we would go to therapy. Once therapy, while my daughter was in therapy, I had one-on-one time with my son. When we got home, my daughter had a nap, and then I had chatted with Allison, and then we had some more one-on-one time with my son, and I got one-on-one time with my daughter in the evening once my husband was home, and I knew that that's how my day was going to go. So I knew blitzing the house first thing in the morning and doing that was going to give me more time. I had set my day out, and I had used my task list we actually did the entire toy task list over the weekend. We, went through all the toys. We cleaned all of that up with the kids. So that helped me a lot to open up that time. And it helped me by letting me know what's done and what's not done. So when I do have a 5-minute period of time, I can go, oh, I should do this. Or this is what I could be doing during this time instead of sitting there twiddling my thumbs. And that has been really key for house management and time management. I think every mom we all feel like our lives are always a little crazy. It's the what are we making for dinner tonight or tomorrow night or what's going on, especially during the summer. So having things scheduled out and tracked out is great, and knowing where my time is spent. And that frees me up to do self-care. Oh, Rachel, I missed that question. Let me pull up the chat box quickly. Okay, so setting up a task list. Starting out with the task list that I sent out is a great one. And then just really thinking through, what do you do in a week? What needs to be done? What are you doing where you're spending dedicated time doing that instead of family time? And then little things. I have my older my kids are 3 and 5, but even my 3-year-old, when we're vacuuming, she's going around and making sure that the chairs are moved so I can vacuum around them, or lifting up the covers on the couches so that I can get right into the couches, or cleaning up her room, putting her toys away, and getting things ready to vacuum. So that's an easy thing. Or, I use vinegar and water a lot. So I give the kids a spray bottle of vinegar and water, because what does it matter if my kids get vinegar and water on a wall or on the carpet or something, and I let them spray the counter and spray the mirrors and those types of things. Makes them feel like they're really active in cleaning, but it's not something that's harmful for them. So, and then just little things, getting them to help clean up, or I'll show you guys how I menu plan tomorrow. And I use a lot of Post-it notes, and I'll let my kids pick the meals that they like and when they want them within reason for menu planning. And then they also eat it better because they get to choose what we're having for dinner. And I'll remind them, oh, you chose this for dinner. Aren't you really excited? And that type of stuff. Right now, my son will have taco meat and nachos every day, 3 meals a day. So I'm really happy I have a lot in the freezer, and that's his go-to meal for on it. But I only have 3 sticky nuts with tacos, so once he's out, then he has to pick something else. But it's a great way to get them involved and get them eating dinners too. And once you get that organization and that time tracking and figuring out what you can do and when you can do it in those little bits of time, and changing the thought process from not having time to making time, the ability to do self-care is there. The guilt is not there. And you just feel so much freer doing it. And you also know you've been present with your kids, you've been present with your spouse. So taking 10 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day or an hour on the weekend doesn't feel like you're taking away from your family, but that you're adding to your family, because you're able to give back so much more once you've had your time. So, yeah. So one of the things that I would love to see from you guys, and if you want to chat about it, let me know. We can set up the time to talk. Is I would love for each of you to create a hit list of what you can do personally, if you're in business or, momming or both, what you can do, in 10 minutes during lunchtime every day, or in 15 minutes after dinner time when your husband's home, that you can do that's going to help free you up to do other things and be more present with your family. So yes, that is my bit, Allison. What are we chatting about next?
I was going to say, first off, awesome information. I love your how you talk about guilt and how you gave it up. I think that's awesome. Very, very cool. And I like how you like the term "I gave it up." Like it's like something you gave up for Lent. I don't know if you guys ever do that, but yeah, very cool, very cool. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did want to mention to everyone on that Jacqueline and I, starting the 25th of July, in my Facebook group, Self-Care Simplified, we're going to be starting a priority challenge. So it's going to be 2 weeks long, completely free, and you guys are more than invited to join us there. So we'll be talking about similar things we talked about today, but probably going a little deeper. And it'll be a lot of fun. We'll have lots of engagement, lots of great advice. And I'm going to send out the replay, so I'll also send out information for that in an email. So be on the look for that. And we're very super excited about it. So any last thing, Jacqueline, you have to say?
Make sure you take 10 minutes for yourself. And if you are having a hard time finding 10 minutes, then when your husband gets up first thing in the morning and your kids are awake, you go shower and you tell your husband that he can have the kids for 10 minutes while you get a shower. They might not like it for the first week, but trust me, they'll get used to it. They will relish the time with the kids. My husband does now. He loves those first 20 minutes in the day. And you get to start your day feeling a little more sane. And you know what? If your kids are awake, then just crank up the tunes in the shower and enjoy it, because it's 10 minutes of your day. It starts it off in a different tone, and I have found I am more patient first thing in the morning, even without coffee. It's a big thing for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I could go on for days about a morning routine, so I'm really glad you mentioned that. Very cool. All right, ladies, if you don't have any other questions, I don't see any other questions in the chat. I just want to thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun, and thank you to Jacqueline for coming up with this idea. Awesome. Very cool. And yeah, Jacqueline, do you have anything else? Awesome. All right.
That's it. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Allison, and we will see you in the group.
Yes, we're excited. All right. Bye, ladies.